what we're going to do is replace the front axle outer bearing and seals on a 2005 John Deere 790 tractor. This was a weak point on this tractor. If you look at Tractor by Net, surf the internet, look at the problems on the 790, it is weak. If you use a front end loader and use the tractor aggressively. A lot of people have trouble with this. If you catch it early, fix it early when the leaks just start, you'll be okay. If you run it till you destroy the front axle, lose the grease, tear the bearings up, tear up the gears in the front, the ring and pinions in the front end, can be expensive. But here are the replacement seals. This is an ORS bearing. You can zoom in on the number. I can't zoom in on the number. And here is one seal. The factory setup, it has one seal on the outside, one bearing on the outside. We're going to put two seals in of this particular part number. Your bearing and seal supplier, not the dealership, can do this. The dealership can cost you extensive amounts of money, but this is already tore down. We're going to do installation. Obviously, tear down is the reverse of installation. We're going to head on over here to the vise. This is the hub casting, which is made out of aluminum. There are a total of 3 snap rings in this particular tear down assembly. 2 large ones and 1 small one. I advise to leave the inner snap ring, which is right here, that separates the seals and the bearings. Leave that intact. Do not remove that. It's just extra labor on your part if you do that. I've got a big heavy Wilton vise here. A salvage vise. Anytime you work on something like this and you have to use a hammer, use a brass hammer, use a non-marring plastic hammer, or blocks of wood. And I use both, blocks of wood and the plastic hammer. I misplaced my block of wood. Large 2x6 piece of block of wood laying on the front end of the tractor. Let me slip by you. Camera one. Alright, what we're going to do is lay this down. Lay that piece down. I use Moly engine lube on any kind of machine that I tear down and reassemble. Get that. Here that is, engine assembly lube. I use that. Anything you take apart and you want to put back together, you think you're going to work on it again, use this stuff. Don't take a lot. Right there's all I'm going to use on this inner race. You need to be careful with these aluminum castings. Like I say, if you have to beat on something, use wood or a non-marring hammer. Right here is what I use to disassemble this. It's just a plastic dead blow hammer. Be careful, take your time, it comes right apart. Alright, we're going to take this grease, we're going to put it just sparingly all over the inside of this thing because we want these parts to slip together. We don't want the metal, the steel bearing race to mar the aluminum. Kind of wipe your hands off as you go. Alright, this is a double sealed bearing by ORS. And we will leave both seals in the bearing. The first time I did this, I pulled out the one seal and let it run in the gear lube in the grease. We're going to leave both seals in this time. Just lightly lay that in there. Don't force anything if it's not going smooth. Just kind of laid that in there. I want to take my plastic dead blow hammer, start bumping it in. And you can use a bearing press. That's good and fine. Now, when and if you have to use force on these bearings, you make sure that it's on the outer race, not the inner. And I'm going to use a very small ball peen hammer, and I'm going to hit on this inner race. I'm just going to lightly bump it. I'm moving this around. You see it's jumping in there basically. Alright, now I want to check to see where I'm at on the snap ring. And I'm a good ways away from the snap ring, so I'm going to keep bumping till I run into the snap ring. Okay, we may be there now. Take a look. Yeah. As you can see, we are all the way down on the snap ring. And that's what we want. And I want to go all the way around it and bump it just to make sure that we're there. Okay, there we are. Now we're going to install the outer snap ring on this next. The snap ring goes right down in there. I'll have to go retrieve it, and then we'll install that. We use snap ring pliers, and these are very large. The two big ones are very large and they're hard to do, so I'm going to get the snap ring and we'll install that next. Alright, here it is. Now this is difficult and these can go flying. I wear prescription glasses, and it's recommended by anyone that works on this stuff. You wear safety glasses and watch children and pets when you're doing this. Okay, there we go. Got her popped in, and it's in the groove as well. And then we've not forced anything to this point. The hammer that I used was very small, and I beat on the outer race, and just a light pecking action with the engine assembly lube, and everything is slipped right together. Alright. Next thing we're going to do is install the seals, plural, and those will go right in here. Open those up, let you get a look at those. Here they are. And same thing, we're going to install the Molly engine assembly lube, and we're going to slip them down all the way against that snap ring inside there. Alright, here's our assembly lube. And again, we're not going to force anything. If it's not going, we need to study it and find an alternate route or change the way we're doing things. Don't force it. Alright. Put that all the way around on the inside of that. It makes everything really slick and it slides right together. Alright, here we go with the first one. Now, you have a spring on the inside of that seal, and that holds that against the drive axle hub. This groove faces the inside, and this keeps the dirt out and the grease in. So we just slip that in there using finger pressure only. It slips right in. I push that all the way down in there against that snap ring. And there's the second one. Push that all the way down in there against that snap ring. Now, we're ready to install the axle hub, or the actual axle. This is the hub. I'm going to go retrieve that, and we'll install that next. Okay, we want to make sure everything's clean. Nothing extra goes in, nothing extra left out. Okay, and again our moly engine assembly lube. Now this is the surface the bearing actually rides on. We're going to get some lube on that and set it in place. It's recommended you check these grease levels every 50 hours. Obviously, if you're using the loader and you know about this situation, you check it every time you use the tractor. Or more often, keep an eye on the insides of your wheels for your grease to leak. The model 3005, I do believe, is the replacement for the 790. I could be mistaken in that, but it has a updated axle, reinforced front axle. Okay, we set that in place. Okay, what I'm going to do is open my vise up. I'm going to lay a small block of wood on either side of the jaw. I've got two small blocks of wood that fit right on there. I'm going to open it up all the way out and let the flange of this case lay right in there, like so. Something like that. And I'm going to take my punch, and on the inner side of this gear, I'm going to punch back in there where there's a lot of beef till it goes down in there. And again, I'm going to start out with a little hammer. I'm going big now. I have a large shaft, and I'm against a spline on the outside of the spline. And I'm rotating this, finding the high spot. Okay, we're going along smooth. Disassembly, I had my cameraman hold her hand under here while I drove this axle out. And you just gently bump it along and it'll fall out the bottom side. Okay, I think we've progressed nicely. I'm going to set that out. Let's turn it upside down and see where we're at. Another spline, the drive axle part that comes from the differential that goes to this gear, slips inside of this and turns that. And there's a smaller snap ring that snaps in that. Okay. From what I see here, we're there. So I want to retrieve the next part, and we're going to slip that in and see if we've got enough room to install the snap ring. Stop that roll right there, Mom.